Drums and music filled the air. The bridal sedan swayed, and when I opened my eyes, I was actually reborn back to my wedding day. Lifting the curtain to look out, the sedan that should have been heading to Prince Jing's manor was turning into the long street, leading to the Lai family. In my previous life, I stopped the procession just in time, turned back to Prince Jing's manor, and interrupted the wedding ceremony between Liu Rumei and Xiao Yuanming. Though Xiao Yuanming was cold to me, half a year later, he successfully won the succession struggle and ascended the throne as emperor. I joyfully waited to enter the palace and be crowned empress, but was poisoned by my personal maid. Since I am fortunate enough to live again, so be it. Prince Jing's manor is my death warrant. Might as well go with the flow and marry Li Yanji instead. After the wedding ceremony, I was sent to the bridal chamber, quietly planning for the future. I am the legitimate daughter of the general's manor, marrying into the Lai family. My father's probably going to blow his top. He and Minister Li have been rivals at court for years, cursing each other at home as old fossil and sour scholar. When the Lai family sent a matchmaker before, my father gave them a tongue, lashing and kicked them out. In my previous life, the one who married into the Lai family was my good friend Liu Rumei, the concubine, born daughter of the Vice Minister of Revenue's family. Rumei didn't have a good time in the Lai family. She complained to me many times, saying her mother-in-law withheld money and life was dull. But later, forget it. The past is the past. No need to mention it. Given the current situation, Li Yanji should be willing to marry me. Right. In my previous life, he was the one who saved me. So right now, the most pressing matter is how to get my father to accept this marriage. The door was suddenly pushed open, and Li Yanji stumbled in. With a scholarly air and clear features, honestly speaking, he really did look quite good. Rumei, he called out with drunken, hazy eyes. The bit of joy in my heart instantly scattered. I raised my hand and slapped him. Look clearly. Who am I? Covering his face, he stared at me blankly. Yinghua, why are you here? Good that he recognizes me sleep, I said. But he shook his head. I am not sleepy yet. You rest first. How dare he refuse? What does this mean? Unwilling to acknowledge this marriage. I grabbed his collar and pulled him down onto the bed. Look clearly. Who am I? You are Shen Yinghua. His ears flushed red, whether from the alcohol or embarrassment. I smiled. Either was fine, as long as he knew who I was. Brushing past his burning cheek, I leaned down and kissed him. At first, he pushed back a couple times, but gradually responded, clumsy yet warm. Ha, men. When I woke the next day, the bedside was already empty. I couldn't help but smile. A melon picked by force could still be somewhat sweet. Oh, the sheer, unadulterated confidence of this moment. Most historical heroines, upon realizing they've been carried into the wrong household, would weep, panic, or demand to be sent back. Not our Yinghua. When her accidental groom stumbles in drunk, mumbling the wrong woman's name, she simply slaps him sober, grabs him by the collar, and essentially says, I am your wife now, deal with it. It is a brilliant subversion of the weeping bride trope. As a reader, you are instantly hooked. You can't help but cheer for a woman who looks at a bizarre twist of fate, shrugs, and decides to aggressively make the absolute best of it. After getting dressed, I opened the door and saw Li Yanji practicing swordplay in the courtyard. In my previous life, after I went blind, father brought me back to live in Jiangnan. Li Yanji often came to see me. I had heard the sound of him wielding his sword, but this was the first time I actually saw it. Seeing me come out, he stopped and sheathed his sword, then walked over. I straightened his slightly disheveled collar. Slow down. Be careful not to hurt yourself. He chuckled softly. I am not that weak, not weak. I looked up at him. Then who was it that fell off the horse years ago? That was all ancient history from so many years ago. Was it? It was just 10 years ago. But that was my previous life, my deepest impression of him before the wedding. Hua, things have come to this. I will take responsibility for you. All right. I stood on my tiptoes and quickly pecked him on the lips. His face suddenly flushed red, and he hurriedly covered his mouth and walked away. Xiao Tao covered her mouth and laughed. Miss, don't scare the young master away. I put away my smile. Has the dowry all been brought over? It has all been brought over. You can take a look in a moment, and then it can be stored. Good. Before I could serve tea to my parents-in-law, my father had already sent Uncle Fu to fetch me. I had no choice but to get on the carriage. Li Yanji wanted to follow, but was blocked by Uncle Fu, who said father only wanted to see me. I returned home, and father sat upright in the hall with a grave expression. You still have the face to come back. I bowed respectfully. Father, I also feel yesterday's matter was too hasty. Just hasty. Father slammed the table and stood up. My daughter, Shen Su's daughter, was actually carried into the Lai family. Carried in is one thing, but you even stayed the night. Yinghua, are you trying to anger me to death? Father, please calm your anger. I immediately knelt down. Since things have come to this, your daughter is willing to marry Li Yanzi. Father sighed deeply. Yinghua, as for Prince Jing's side, alas, didn't you insist on marrying into that family before? You might have become empress in the future. Father, if I became empress, I wouldn't be able to come home often. But if I marry Li Yanzi, would he dare not let me come home? Father's expression eased slightly. You have a point there. If that boy dares mistreat you in the future, father will help you chop off his legs. Sounds good. I smiled softly, my eyes feeling a bit stinging. In my previous life, after I was poisoned, everyone thought I had died. But fortunately, Li Yanzi rescued me from the palace. Father cried for a long time when he saw me, then immediately retired and took me back to Jiangnan. While we were talking, Steward Fu came in to report, General Minister Li from the Ministry of Works has arrived, and he brought betrothal gifts. Father snorted with a cold expression. Old fellow, at least he knows the rules. Minister Li and Li Yanji entered one after the other, followed by several palanquins carrying boxes tied with red silk. General Shen. Minister Li smiled and cupped his hands. To think you and I have become in-laws through our children. These are the betrothal gifts presented according to proper etiquette. Father still kept a stern face. If you ever let my daughter suffer even the slightest grievance in the future, I definitely won't let you off. The general is too serious. From now on, we're all one family. Minister Li went off to the study with father, all smiles. Does father-in-law mean he is agreed? Li Yanji walked to my side and asked in a low voice. What else? I glanced at him. The deed is done. Surely we can't break off the engagement now, can we? He smiled faintly and asked again, then, are you willing? I turned my head to look at him. Why didn't you ask me last night if I was willing? His ears suddenly flushed red. I observed him secretly. With this kind of demeanor, he didn't seem as dull as Rumei had described. Thinking of Rumei, I couldn't help but sigh softly. I wonder how Rumei is doing. Married to Prince Jing, she should be satisfied, Li Yanzi replied. But I couldn't put my mind at ease with her low birth and being a concubine. Born daughter, she surely couldn't become the principal consort. Just as I was about to send someone to the prince's manor to inquire, Li Yanzi stopped me. No need to investigate. She has been granted the title of secondary consort. I was slightly stunned. That is good then. At least she had a proper title. After the meal, we returned to the Lai residence and properly served tea. My mother-in-law, Lady Liu, indeed had an unhappy expression. She was Chamberlain Li's second wife and also Rumei's aunt. With no sons of her own, she had only one daughter. She had originally wanted to strengthen family ties through marriage. With the current situation, it was understandable that she was displeased. I offered tea, according to propriety. She handed me a silver bracelet of ordinary quality. The Li family isn't as wealthy as the general's manor. Don't think it shabby. Yes, I received it with both hands. Now that you've entered the Li family's door, you should bear children for the Li family soon. Yes, I replied again. She wanted to say more, but Li Yanji had already stepped forward. Mother is tired, so your son and Yinghua won't disturb your rest. Lady Lu frowned and glanced at me, but in the end only waved her hand. Go, back in the courtyard. Li Yanji went to the study. I leaned back in the rocking chair under the tree, letting the warm sun lazily cover my entire body. Although this place wasn't as luxurious as the prince's manor, there were far fewer rules, and Li Yanji seemed to protect me too, unlike my previous life. The imperial concubine would summon me to the palace for lectures every few days, and after returning to the manor, I still had to deal with those two-side concubines. That is right. In my previous life, less than 3 months after I married into the prince's manor, Zhao Yuanming brought in 2 more side concubines. I was so angry my chest ached, yet I could only swallow the bitterness alone, closing my eyes and thinking about those old matters, the sunlight warmly wrapping around me. I actually felt a bit drowsy. In a daze, my body felt light as I was steadily lifted up. Steady footsteps, firm arms, just like countless times in my previous life. Back then, when I had just been rescued, my eyes couldn't see, and I was weak all over, so he would often carry me outside to bask in the sun. I've always remembered the scent on his body, just like this moment. Being gently placed on the bed, I opened my eyes and caught his gaze hastily looking away. I couldn't help but laugh. I say, husband, you are so nervous. Could it be you are also fond of me? Li Yanji's face instantly flushed red. The wind was picking up, and I saw you sleeping in the courtyard. Oh, my smile deepened. How did you know I was sleeping in the courtyard? I saw it when I passed by. Seeing him at a loss for words, I tilted my face up close and quickly pecked his lips again. His ears turned even redder, and he got up to leave. My smile didn't fade. Is my husband trying to be like Lu Xiaowei, sitting unmoved? His steps suddenly halted. When he turned around, there seemed to be a glimmer flowing in his eyes. Wife, he leaned down close. You are the one who provoked me first. The candlelight flickered, reflecting the silhouettes quietly overlapping behind the curtains. Days passed one by one, compared to the treacherous life in my previous existence. Things were truly peaceful now. Though my mother-in-law Liu occasionally made things difficult, she couldn't really stir up any trouble. I am not as good-tempered as Rumei. Besides, my father-in-law is courteous to me, so Liu doesn't dare to really do anything to me. But I gradually realized that Li Yanji was far more than just the gentle scholar he appeared to be on the surface. Several times I saw him conversing with trusted confidants of Prince Sun, and a few times late at night, I heard sounds, and when I got up, I saw him changing into nightclothes. He had an old scar on his wrist, and a few faded marks on his back as well. Everything pointed to the same fact. He was secretly working for Prince Su. This morning, seeing a fresh wound on his arm, I finally couldn't help but ask, who exactly? His hand tying his sash paused slightly, and he only said, naturally, I am your husband. What else? Silence lingered for a long while. Yinghua, there are some things I don't want to hide from you, but I am even more reluctant to drag you into them. I didn't ask further. Living this second life, I understand all too well. The waters of the imperial court are bottomless. The rivalry between Prince Yu and Prince Jing is growing fiercer by the day. Perhaps Li Yanzi is handling some matters that can't see the light of day for Prince Yunot. Unusual, really. Just like how my father secretly did many things for Xiao Yaming in my previous life. I may not understand those political schemes and calculations, but there is one thing I know inside out: making money. Whether it is recruiting soldiers or winning people's hearts, silver is always indispensable. Though I am not short of money, since I've been given a second chance at life, how could I let this foreknowledge go to waste? So I frequently went to watch horse races and beast fights, placing bets discreetly in just over a month. I'd already made quite a bit. Then I acquired several shops in prime locations and bought a few estates as well. On the 8th day of the 12th month, the palace held a banquet. Li Yanzi and I had just arrived at the palace gates when we ran into Prince Jing's carriage. Li Rumei, dressed in splendid robes, stood beside Xiao Mingyuan with a gentle smile. Seeing me, she walked over slowly. "Yinghua, when I heard you married into the Lai family, I was truly both shocked and delighted." Strange. What is there for her to be delighted about? Nothing more than celebrating that the wrongly carried bridal sedan fulfilled her dream of entering Prince Jing's manor. In the past, when her life was difficult, I always felt sorry for her. Now seeing her so smug, I felt rather annoyed. Could it be that what the imperial concubine and Xiao Yuanming cursed me with in my past life was true? That I am too petty and can't stand seeing others do well? Xiao Yuanming stared at me. Li Yanji stepped forward half a pace, positioning himself in front of me, and saluted respectfully. "Prince Jing, Lady Concubine." Xiao Yuanming nodded faintly, didn't linger much, and entered the palace first with Rumei. At the banquet, music filled the air. Li Rumei whispered with Xiao Yuanming. Clearly a loving couple, a perfect pair. The more I watched, the more stifled I felt. I thought of the blood the Shen family army shed for him in the fight for succession in my past life. Thought of the silver Rumei borrowed from me time and time again. Feeling irritated, I rose and left the table, heading to a secluded spot in the plum garden, only to be stopped by someone. Xiao Yuanming's brows were tightly knit. "Yinghua, the sedan chair switch. Was that your doing? Your Highness Jeff, how could this humble wife have such capability? Then why didn't you come to the prince's manor immediately? Since your Highness and the concubine had already completed the wedding ceremony, wouldn't it only add to the awkwardness if this humble wife went? Yet you were actually willing to marry Li Yanji. You are simply ruining your own future. If you regret it, this prince might perhaps. Your Highness, please conduct yourself with dignity." I interrupted coldly. His eyes darkened. "Do you really think Li Yanji is some good man? He married you only for the Shen family army." "Your Highness," Yinghua. Li Yanji's voice came from under the corridor. He appeared calm on the surface, but his eyes were ice cold. Xiao Yuanming sneered. "Editor Li, what audacity you have, daring to marry even this prince's fiancée fire." Li Yanji shielded me behind him. "Regardless, Yinghua is already my wife. Your Highness pulling at her like this is improper." Their gazes met, undercurrents surging in the silence. Finally, Xiao Yuanming flicked his sleeves and left. Only then did Li Yanji turn to look at me. "Did he make things difficult for you?" I shook my head. "He said you married me for the sake of the Shen family army. Is it true?" He fell silent for a moment, then asked back, "Do you believe it? Whatever you say, I'll believe." He suddenly smiled. "Yinghua, if I said I married you simply because you are you, would you believe me?" I nodded gently. "Actually, whether I believe it or not, what does it matter? After all, my surname is Shen, and father will always be my support." Having figured this out, I felt somewhat relieved instead. My gaze turned to Xiao Tao, standing aside in attendance, and a thought gradually became clear. Whether by chance or someone's design, that day I was inside the bridal sedan, but she accompanied outside. Even during the wedding ceremony, she stayed nearby. It is not like she didn't know Prince Jing. To say she never noticed anything amiss is really far-fetched, yet from start to finish, she never gave me a single word of warning. The sedan incident aside, in my previous life she brought me poison, and after I drank it my whole body convulsed, yet she ignored it. How chilling. A maid who betrays her mistress time and again like this cannot be kept. Back at the residence, I was still thinking about Xiao Tao's matter, when Li Yanji actually took the initiative to say he wanted to have a serious talk with me. In the flickering candlelight, his expression was more solemn than I'd ever seen. Yinghua, I believe Xiao Yuanming's marriage to you is actually to win over the Shen family, aiming to control the Shen family's military power. I naturally understood this. Father had distinguished military achievements and commanded powerful troops, with only me as his daughter. Xiao Yuanming was wildly ambitious. How could his proposal to me be merely because of my beauty and intelligence? Seeing his grave expression, I still asked softly, "How did you find out?" "I have my sources." He held my hand again. "Yinghua, you are straightforward by nature. If you really marry into Prince Jing's manor, whether Prince Jing succeeds or fails in the future, I am afraid he won't be able to tolerate you either way." I nodded lightly. How could I not know? These words were like stabbing a knife into my heart. So I smiled and changed the subject. "All right, let's not talk about this. Let's discuss something important." "What important matter?" He looked at me earnestly. I coughed lightly twice. Today Mother sent someone to ask why, after being married for so long, there is still no happy news. Li Yanji froze for a moment, then carried me into the inner chamber. In truth, Lady Liu hadn't actually sent anyone to ask about offspring. She only complained that I spent all day seeking pleasure and didn't know how to attend to my husband, hinting between the lines that she wanted to take concubines for Li Yanji. Since that is the case, don't blame me for causing her some frustration. The next day when I got up, Xiao Tao came in carrying newly tailored clothes. I asked her, "Xiao Tao, are you happy that I am marrying into the Lai family? Since the young master treats Miss, well, this servant is naturally happy for Miss." I smiled. "That is good. At least it doesn't disappoint your painstaking efforts." Xiao Tao's body trembled, and she hurriedly knelt on the ground. "Miss, spare my life." Spare her life. When she personally delivered that bowl of poison in my previous life, did she ever think of sparing mine? Although I was rescued later, the poison had penetrated my bones, and no amount of medicine could help. I became blind and never saw the changing seasons or flowers blooming and leaves falling again. If not for my reluctance to leave Father, I wouldn't have even wanted to live. Forget it. The more I think about it, the more suffocated I feel. "Xiao Tao, I'll give you a chance to atone for your crimes." She looked up in alarm. "What?" "Find an opportunity to go serve at the East Garden." The East Garden was my father-in-law, Chamberlain Li's courtyard. Xiao Tao's face turned deathly pale in an instant. "Miss, this servant. Or go to the dry well in the back courtyard." She trembled all over and hurriedly kowtowed. "Yes, this servant understands." A few days later, just like in my previous life, old Madame Liu passed away. Lady Liu rushed back that very night. Li Yanzi and I went to pay our respects the next morning. When I saw Rumei in front of the morning hall, her face was pale, with dark circles under her eyes, looking much more haggard than she had at this time in my previous life. Well, I heard that after she became pregnant, Princess Jing forbade her from serving Xiao Yuanming closely anymore. Looking at her devastated appearance, I couldn't tell if she was grieving her grandmother's passing or upset about falling out of favor. Actually, Xiao Yuanming's looks and figure were far inferior to Li Yanji's. I glanced at the person beside me. Fortunately, he wasn't looking at Rumei. "What are you looking at?" he suddenly asked in a low voice. "Looking at how handsome you are." The corners of his lips curved slightly. Just then, Lady Liu walked over. "You are here. Come in and sit for a while." "All right." I also wanted to see how Li Yanji would handle this in this lifetime. Sure enough, just as Liu Rumei had said in the previous life, Lady Liu first invited us to have some tea and refreshments. Then Liu Ruyan accidentally knocked over a teacup, staining Li Yanzi's robe, and insisted on taking him to change clothes. Li Yanzi had no choice but to get up and follow her. I took a sip of tea, quietly waiting for the show. Liu Rumei asked me in a low voice, "Aren't you worried?" "Worried about what?" "What is mine will ultimately be mine. What is not mine is useless to force." She sighed. "I really envy you, having a good father, having the confidence to do anything." I looked at her. "Why envy? Didn't you also marry into Prince Jing's manor on your own?" "That was just an accident." Her eyes flickered slightly. Perhaps the prince and I were fated. "BFFT," I spat out a mouthful of tea all over her face. "An accident, fated. The day before the wedding, when Xiao Tao's parents were kidnapped, was that also an accident?" Li Rumei's expression changed drastically, and she abruptly stood up. "I don't know what you are talking about." She left in a hurry. "Actually, I just wanted to confirm, but I don't intend to make a fuss about it. Everyone looks out for themselves. Besides, I am getting along well with Li Yanji." Now, after a long while, Li Yanji came back, still wearing the same clothes. "What? Didn't find any clothes that fit?" I looked at him. "Let's go." His expression was grim as he took my hand and headed outside. Once in the carriage, he still had his lips pressed tight, his eyes dark and troubled. "What is wrong?" "Nothing." I held onto his arm. "Is this another danger I am not allowed to know about?" "It is not danger, I just didn't want to upset you." I chuckled softly. "Am I really that petty?" "Yinghua, that is not what I meant." "It is all right." I leaned against his shoulder. "We're husband and wife, between spouses. We should be honest with each other." He clasped my hand in return. "Yinghua, you are so good to me." "Naturally, I am better than Ruyan," he asked in surprise. "You already know." I nodded. "How could I not know? Ruyan is Rumei's cousin, the niece that Lady Liu favors more. She has had deep feelings for Li Yanji since childhood. But for some reason, the Lai family asked to marry Rumei instead. In my past life, Lady Liu eventually brought Ruyan into Li Yanji's household as a concubine. Because of this, Rumei complained to me many times about Lady Liu's favoritism. Speaking of which, I wonder how Xiao Tao is doing last night. She should have stayed in the East Courtyard. I am rather looking forward to seeing what expression Lady Liu will have when she returns to the manor. As soon as the carriage arrived in front of the Li residence, I saw Uncle Fu. Uncle Fu. I stepped forward quickly. "Why are you here? Is something the matter with father?" Uncle Fu glanced at Li Yanji, and only after he had walked a few steps away did he lower his voice and say, "Miss, please hurry back and talk some sense into the general. The new year is almost here, yet the general insists on going to the border himself." "What? In my previous life, he did go to the border, but that was for Xiao Yuanming, and he even got injured then. Why does he want to go in this life too?" My heart tightened, and I hurriedly rushed back to the Shen residence with Uncle Fu father, stood in his study, carefully examining the border maps. "Yinghua, you don't understand. Lately, the northern frontier has been repeatedly violated, and I feel uneasy. Now that you are married, I am alone. What does it matter where I spend the new year? Father, there are generals stationed at the border. Why must you go yourself? You've been stationed there for many years. You should rest." Father snorted coldly. "Even you think your father is old and unfit to lead troops? How could your daughter think that? I am just afraid. If you leave, I am with child, and if mother-in-law takes the opportunity to bully me, who can I turn to for help? Father asked in surprise. You are with child? I nodded. Actually, I just made up an excuse on the spot. In my previous life, I was never able to conceive. I drank countless medicinal tonics, all to no avail. In this life, forget it. The most important thing right now is to keep father here. In the evening, Li Yanji came to pick me up. As soon as we returned to the Lai family courtyard, we heard Madame Li's shrill scolding. You little shameless slut. Have you no sense of decency? How dare you seduce the master? I'll scratch that face of yours to pieces. I saw Xiao Tao kneeling on the ground, her hair disheveled, with clear handprints on her face. I said coldly, Mother-in-law, if you are going to punish my people, shouldn't you inform me first? Your people, you still know she is your people. Lady Liu glared at me furiously. Your people dared to climb into the master's bed. I let out a light laugh. For this kind of thing, can one hand clap alone? Maybe Xiao Tao was forced into it too. Lady Liu flew into a rage, pointing at me. What nonsense are you spouting, such an unbridled tongue? I see you've gone too long without proper discipline. Li Yanji hurried over to shield me behind him. Mother, what Yinghua says is not unreasonable. Yanji, she has truly bewitched you. Lady Liu beat her chest and stamped her feet. Her maid climbed into your father's bed. I added, Father is busy with official duties, and mother has to manage the household and care for little sister. Oversights are inevitable. Adding someone attentive to attend to father is only proper. This is without a doubt one of the most delightfully wicked chess moves I have ever seen in a domestic drama. Yinghua has two problems: a treacherous maid, who literally poisoned her in her past life, and a deeply unpleasant mother-in-law, who keeps hinting that Li Yanji needs a concubine. So, what does our brilliant heroine do? She forces the traitorous maid to become a concubine. For her father-in-law, it is a stroke of absolute genius. She punishes the maid by tying her to an older man while simultaneously giving her wicked mother-in-law a taste of her own bitter medicine. It's chaotic, it's petty, and it is staggeringly satisfying to watch unfold. Lady Liu trembled with rage. What kind of talk is this? I hid behind Li Yanji, mimicking her earlier tone. Am I wrong? These words were exactly what she had said when persuading me to take a concubine for Li Yanji some days ago. Li Yanji glanced at Xiao Tao cowering on the ground. Mother, why not leave this matter for father to decide? Yanji, I've taken care of you for so many years, and this is how you repay me. Lady Liu immediately began crying and complaining. I hastily added, this shows that you, mother-in-law, didn't teach Yanji well. Now, you should focus on raising little sister properly. Li Yanji turned his head to glare at me, signaling me to shut up. Fine, I won't say more then. I pressed my lips together in silence, just smiling brightly at Lady Liu. Lady Liu clutched her chest and cried. Li Yanji had the servants help her back to her room. You, Li Yanji, looked at me and said helplessly, did that on purpose, didn't you? I nodded frankly. Naturally. However she treats me, I'll treat her the same way in return. In the end, father-in-law still took Xiao Tao as a concubine. Mother-in-law was so angry she fell ill for several days, and even made Xiao Tao personally attend to her. When I went to see her, a female physician walked out from the inner room, wearing a plain cloth skirt with her hair in a simple spiral bun. I'd only heard before that the Lai family had a female physician, but I'd never seen her. But her voice, the moment I heard it, I froze. I was all too familiar with it. The physician who saved me in my previous life, the sister who stayed by my side every day talking to me and keeping me company after I went blind. I never knew her appearance, nor her name. I only called her Sister Yao, and even after she married my father, I still called her that. Young mistress. She walked up to me and bowed. My eyes unexpectedly grew hot with emotion. She smiled gently, her features like a painting, even more beautiful than I had imagined. I'd been having people search for her all along without any leads, yet I never expected we'd meet so unexpectedly like this. Seeing her about to leave, I quickly spoke up. Sister Yao, I am also feeling a bit. Could you take a look at me in a moment as well? All right, she answered gently. Lady Lu, hearing this from the inner room, said with sarcastic undertones, Dr. Meng's medical skills are mediocre, and she only uses cheap herbs. Yinghua, if you are not feeling well, you should have General Shen fetch an imperial physician from the Imperial Medical Bureau. I walked over with a smile. No harm, mother-in-law. Don't you know that the GC Hall in the city is part of my dowry? She glared at me in anger. How could she not know? Just yesterday the shopkeeper came to report that she wanted to buy an old ginseng on credit and put it on the Lai family's account. But I didn't agree. Looking at Xiaotao beside her, I continued in a gentle voice, with mother-in-law so ill, I am afraid managing the New Year's Eve family feast would tax your mind. How about I handle it together with concubine Zhang instead? Xiaotao was concubine Zhang. Mother-in-law turned her head and glared at me. No need, Shen Yinghua. From now on, you don't have to step foot in my courtyard again. Yes, then, mother-in-law, please rest well. By afternoon, her illness was cured. She personally checked the purchasing lists and even called the steward over to go through the accounts page by page. I had no interest in fighting her for this household management authority. To be honest, the Lai family didn't have much to manage anyway. After the new year, I was planning to move out. Going from luxury to frugality is hard. My family was well off, and I had lived in wealth and honor at Prince Jing's manor before. In comparison, the Lai family's courtyard is small, with few servants, and the food and expenses are even more frugal. I've actually lost quite a bit of weight during this time. I wouldn't mind for myself, but Sister Yao examined me today and said I am pregnant. In my past life, caught up in the palace's scheming and plotting, perhaps someone had secretly drugged me. I was never able to conceive. In this life, to actually be able to have my own child, how could I not be overjoyed? It is just that in the evening when Li Yanji came back, he mentioned the border warfare is getting intense. I feel that just being pregnant probably still won't be enough to keep father here, since father feels that being alone anywhere doesn't matter. If that is the case. Yanji, what do you think of Sister Yao? Her medical skills are naturally excellent. The Meng family has practiced medicine for generations. Uncle Meng once saved father's life. And after my mother fell gravely ill, it was also thanks to his treatment that she lived a bit longer. Then does she have a marriage arrangement? She was betrothed years ago, but before the wedding, the other party passed away from illness. After that, Dr. Meng never married. As he spoke, he looked at me. Yinghua, one Xiaotao is enough. I snorted softly. You wish, taking another concubine, our family's dining table, probably wouldn't even see meat or fish anymore. Li Yanji looked embarrassed. It is my fault. I'll work hard. Forget it, I interrupted him. Your intention is good enough. Stop trying to do business. That cheap shop you bought the other day, I had just sold it off. He looked even more embarrassed, and I felt a bit bad for him. All right, I have money. I can support you just the same. How can this be acceptable? Why not? I touched my still, flat belly. You are the father of my child, and besides, I can afford to support you. He reached out and hugged me. I am sorry. It is my fault. You are pressing on your son. What? He quickly let go, staring at my belly. Really, really pregnant? I nodded. Sister Yao confirmed it. The pregnancy is very stable. I am going to be a father. I am really going to be a father. Li Yanji was also extremely happy. News of my pregnancy spread quickly. My father was delighted and specially brought many nutritional supplements to see me. But as soon as he entered the courtyard, his brows furrowed. Why is this courtyard so cramped? Where is that soft pillow you love to use? Why are these beddings so thin? And this window paper, can it even keep out the wind? On this table, why don't I see the ginseng chicken soup you love to drink? Li Yanji was extremely embarrassed on the side. I quickly said, Father, didn't you always say that you also lived through hardship when you were young? As soon as the words left my mouth, I felt something was wrong. I could see Li Yanji's head was nearly lowered to his chest. Father snorted coldly. I suffered when I was young. But ever since I married your mother, when have I ever suffered even half a bit? And when have you ever suffered like this? Indeed, my maternal grandfather was a wealthy merchant from Jiangnan, enormously rich, with 3 sons under his knee, and only my mother as a daughter. Her dowry back then was quite generous, and my mother was also good at managing it. So over the years it had only grown. No, Yinghua, come back home with Dad. Dad, let's talk about it after the new year. I've already arranged for a house. It is on the same street as ours. Really, Uncle Fu even helped me pick it out. Can't go wrong. Dad glanced at Li Yanji and pondered for a moment. All right then, you focus on your pregnancy for now. Move over there after the new year. I looked at Sister Yao and said, Dad, now that I am married, you can't keep being without someone to take care of you. Dad waved his hand. I am used to being on my own. Li Yanji stepped forward at the right moment. Father-in-law, I remember your old leg injury flares up every winter. Your son-in-law knows a divine physician skilled in treatment. How about we invite you back to the residence to recuperate properly for a while? This was exactly what I wanted to hear. That is right, Dad. You need to get healthy so you can teach your grandchild horseback riding and archery in the future. Dad agreed readily enough. Li Yanji whispered a few words to Sister Yao. When Dad left the Li residence, Sister Yao carried her medicine box and boarded the Shen family's carriage with him. The closer it got to New Year's Eve, the more Li Yanji was out early and back late. With the emperor gravely ill, dark currents surged among various factions, so naturally he had little leisure. In my previous life, my dad naturally helped Xiao Yaming, but in this life, Xiao Yaming's principal wife is the granddaughter of the Duke of Zhengguo. The Duke of Zhengguo's household has power equal to my Shen family's, so this time Dad probably won't get too deeply involved. But the succession struggle will ultimately have a victor. This time, the bet I am placing is on Prince Su. The day after Sister Yao entered the Shen residence, she became my father's concubine, faster than I'd imagined. Though it is a good thing, I am even more certain now that she is also Prince Su's person. This move is probably to win over my father too. On New Year's Eve, the palace held its customary banquet for civil and military officials. Father-in-law and Li Yanji both entered the palace. I didn't want to stay up for the new year with mother-in-law, so I stayed alone in my room. When Liu Rumei came over late at night dressed in a maid's clothes, her face was deathly pale. Yinghua, I beg you, save me. She actually knelt straight down. I hurriedly helped her up. Speak slowly. What happened? She said, crying. The prince only kept me that day because my father manages the Ministry of Revenue's funds. Now my father's been investigated, and he even confessed about Xiao Yaming embezzling huge sums from last year's disaster relief and smuggling military supplies. I overheard his conversation with the princess. He is planning to abandon me, and I am carrying his child. My heart tightened. I actually remember something about this. Seems like there is also an account ledger. How can I help you? There is an account ledger hidden at Yunqing Temple outside the city. If we can find it, we might be able to bring him down. But it is really difficult for me to get out now, and I have no one around me I can use. Yinghua, I beg you. I agreed for now. When Li Yanzi came back and heard me out, his brows locked tight. This matter of the account ledger, I am afraid there is a trap in it. Even if it is real, retrieving the ledger is far too dangerous. But this is a rare opportunity. That account book might really be able to shake the Prince Jing's manor. I remember in my previous life, Xiao Yuanming specifically brought me back to the Shen family on the second day of the Lunar New Year and brought generous gifts. It seemed he wanted to use my father's help to search for some account book. Later, after Xiao Yuanming helped Rumei with the divorce, he obtained an account book, but he burned it in the study. Thinking about it this way, what Rumei said should be true. Yinghua, don't get involved. I'll send people to investigate first. I nodded. The next day, I returned to the Shen family and told Father about this matter in full detail. Father pondered for a long time and said the same thing as Li Yanji. Unfortunately, 3 days later, before the whereabouts of the account book could be found, Rumei was no longer at Prince Jing's manor. When the news came, I was stunned for a long time. Her life was bitter. Her birth mother was a maid who died in childbirth when giving birth to her. Her legitimate mother treated her harshly. She often went hungry and cold in her childhood. Once, my mother visited the Liu family as a guest and saw her hiding under the corridor doing embroidery. The stitches were fine, and even feeling sympathy. Mother often invited her to our home, ostensibly to teach me embroidery, but actually to let her have a few full meals and get a moment of peace. In my previous life, she always said the Lai family was bad. She finally got divorced with great difficulty, but right after Xiao Yuanming ascended the throne, he immediately issued an edict to execute the entire Liu family and confiscate their property. In this life, she finally married into the prince's manor, only to wither early. Alas, I only hope that in her next life, she can be born into a good family, free from worries about food and clothing, safe and happy. After the new year, on the 15th day of the first lunar month, Prince Su found the account books and presented them to the emperor. Following that, evidence of Xiao Yuanming's collusion with the Ministry of Revenue, embezzlement of military funds, and secretly raising assassins surfaced one after another. The emperor was furious. Xiao Yuanming was stripped of his title and placed under house arrest, falling from grace overnight. Li Yanji and I sat in the new residence, eating the pastries and ginseng chicken soup that Sister Yao had just sent over. I asked Li Yanji, "Why did you marry Rumei back then, and not Ruyan?" Because Rumei had solid evidence of Lord Liu and my Li family conspiring to embezzle. She could give it to me, but only if I married her. Your father embezzled. I was stunned. Where is the silver? Li Yanji shook his head. Father didn't know about it. It was Lady Liu who accepted the bribes privately. It only happened once. After that, Father cut all ties with the Liu family. He didn't even go when old Lady Liu passed away. I sighed softly. Can't entirely blame her. Your family was really too poor. Li Yanji smiled bitterly. My mother's illness cost too much. Father and I wanted to make money and tried many businesses, but ended up losing a lot. Being able to maintain what we have now is already not easy. Latter, Prince Su secretly helped you. Yes, but I follow him not only because he helped me, but more because he still has a conscience. That is true. I've long seen how Xiao Yuanming would stop at nothing to achieve his goals, disregarding human lives. Suddenly, I remembered again about the mix-up with the bridal sedan. How much do you actually know? Li Yanji was silent for a moment before saying, I had my suspicions ever since she captured Xiao Tao's parents. Yinghua, will you blame me? I shook my head. Blame you. You all should have told me. That way, perhaps from the very beginning, I wouldn't have insisted on marrying Xiao Yuanming. But Li Yanji laughed. You've had your heart set on Prince Jing since you were little. If we'd told you, would you have listened? My face flushed. Indeed, I wouldn't have, mainly because Xiao Yuanming was so dazzlingly showy when he was young. 10 years ago, at the Western Mountain hunting grounds, you insisted on taming that wild horse, didn't cry even when you fell off, and got back up cursing the horse for having no judgment. Right, that very day, my eyes lit up. Later, Xiao Yuanming said he could tame that horse for me. He just switched my horse with yours. Your horse threw me off as soon as I got on, but you didn't notice at all. You just stood there cursing me for being useless. Just when you think this is purely a story of domestic survival, we get this gorgeous, quiet revelation about the past. Yinghua spent her youth infatuated with the flashy Prince Jing because she thought he bravely tamed a wild horse for her. It turns out the prince merely swapped the horses, letting poor Li Yanji take the dangerous fall. It's a beautifully poignant moment that reframes her entire childhood. It shows us, and her, that the loud, arrogant men who demand the spotlight are often frauds, whilst the quiet ones who take the bruises without complaining are the ones truly worth your time. It ties the romance together perfectly. Xiao Yuanming took a gold ingot from me back then, swearing up and down that he could definitely tame it. Not long after, the former emperor passed away, and Prince Su ascended the throne. When rewards were distributed based on merit, Li Yanji's name was among them. He came back with the rewards. Yinghua, these are bestowed by His Majesty. I've been promoted to Vice Minister of Revenue, so my salary will be higher from now on. I nodded in acknowledgement. Let's go. It is time to head back. Sister Yao is expecting, and father has handed over his military command and is idle at home now. He insists on holding a banquet to celebrate. I suddenly worried. What if Xiao Tao is also pregnant? Now that the Liu family has been investigated, Minister Liu is in prison, and Madame Liu has lost her former spirit. What if she let Xiao Tao slip through? Li Yanji laughed. Before my mother died, fearing that Madame Liu would mistreat me after giving birth to a child, she had Madame Liu drink safflower decoction. What do you think? Would Madame Liu allow someone else to give birth to a son? That is good then. The carriage drove through the long street where newlyweds were getting married. Drums and music filled the air, and red silk swayed. Li Yanji asked me, that day when you stepped out of the bridal sedan, didn't you notice anything wrong? I firmly shook my head. Number, I just thought we were entering through the back gate of the prince's manor. He seemed to believe me. He asked him again, on our wedding night. The first name you called was Rume. Did you really not recognize me? Actually, I noticed when you got out of the sedan, but everything went too smoothly, and during the ceremony you were even more eager than I was. I thought, this definitely can't be you. Disheartened, I drank a few more cups, and when I went in, I didn't look carefully at all. Because I was also afraid of being discovered and sent back to Prince Jing's manor. We looked at each other and smiled, saying nothing more. The past events, all carried away by the wind. If I were to distill the absolute essence of this story, I would give you two phrases: radical pragmatism and substance over spectacle. At its core, this is a story about radical pragmatism. When Yinghua is reborn, she doesn't waste her second chance plotting a convoluted, bloody revenge against the prince who ruined her past life. She simply walks away. She chooses peace, leverages her own wealth, and builds a comfortable, safe life. It's a wonderfully mature take on the rebirth genre. It is also a beautiful tribute to substance over spectacle. She trades a treacherous prince who offered her a gilded cage for a quiet, steadfast scholar who physically shields her from harm and respects her sharp mind. True love, This story argues isn't found in royal decrees or dramatic gestures. It's found in a partner who lets you be your unapologetic, cheeky self. So the moral of the story, my lovelies, never let a flashy man take credit for a quiet man's bruises. And if life accidentally drops you at the wrong front door, sometimes it is best to just walk in and take over the house. If you enjoyed this tale of switched sedans, brilliant domestic warfare, and finding the right man by complete accident, do be an absolute darling and hit that subscribe button. Give this video a like if you too would handle a toxic mother-in-law with Yinghua's level of delightful cheek. And please, tell me in the comments, have you ever had a sliding doors moment, a mistake, or an accident that actually turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to you? I cannot wait to read your stories. Would you like me to find another story about a brilliant woman rewriting her own destiny for our next session? Let me know. Until then, keep your wits sharp and your tea hot. Ta.